This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
And welcome in here, our A-Cup House Studios on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. A particularly special day. It is National Radio Day, the history of radio dating back to this month in 1920. Bit of an argument between the folks in Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Really?
We came along. We let them get it all settled. And
yeah. We wanted to get the bugs worked out, and then we came along in 1925.
So we're closing in on 99 in October of this year.
Well, the Steelers have won a lot more than the Lions. So
wow.
If you go by that, we'll give it to Pittsburgh. Okay. So,
good point, Charlie. But welcome to National Radio Day. And as you would imagine, we thought we'd do something special, like a grand opening, official grand opening of our studio, where we've been, I think we're in our 6th week in our new studio home and museum attached that you can tour as a part of your Opry tour. And our executive chairman of the board of directors of Ryman Hospitality Properties, Colin V. Reed, and Vincent Grant Gill will be here this afternoon. Kelly Sutton and I.
Yes.
Charlie, you're the Vince Gill Wrangler today.
Yes, I needed something to do, so I said, I'll go hang out with Vince and make sure he gets here on time. So
well, you're guaranteed to
seemed
eat
like
good.
A fun gig.
You'll eat good.
I'm not joining him for that portion of the day, unfortunately.
So can I catch a ride back over to the Opry when you take him back?
You can take my spot on the golf cart if there's not enough room. I'll walk.
Oh,
How's that?
Because our event is the lead-in to the Tuesday Night Opry with Little Big Town's 25th anniversary celebration as a band, and coming up on 10 years as members of the Grand Ole Opry. That anniversary is very special, and the Castellos are going to make a Grand Ole Opry debut.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, very excited about that.
You're a part of all that.
We got it. And Wyatt Flores is going to be there. He is a part of our next stage class. So excited to have him. Shelby Lynn, Oak Ridge Boys are going to be there. Ashley Ray, as we mentioned, Vince Gill, and of course, Little Big Town closing us out tonight. So it's going to be a great show. And we got a lot to talk about in entertainment headlines too. I just mentioned Dolly Parton is launching a makeup line. I know. Get your credit card ready. I'll tell you where you can buy it. You're like me and you want it immediately. Doesn't matter what it is because it's Dolly. And yes, we do all things Dolly tells us to do. So that's coming up. Also, Bailey Zimmerman checking something off of his bucket list that he didn't even know was there. So just stretch a little bit. Get ready because you're going to have to shake it for me, country girl, if you're on stage there.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect there, Honey Plum.
Ooh, stretch it out now. Come on.
That's a Dolly Parton lipstick color, Honey Plum, and Kelly's new on-air name. So the artist formerly known as Kelly Sutton.
I don't know if we've landed on that one. We still have a couple more that we're going to go through. Just a few more.
It works for so many occasions.
Here's the side story I have to tell you about. Some of our really good friends on the radio dial on another location yesterday said, we saw this thing about the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys had a plaque on their wall, and it was a gold record. And they said, that doesn't look right. That record only has 4 tracks on it. Ours had 9. So they pull the gold record off the wall, and they put it on a record player. And sure enough, it isn't their music. It's just like piano medley.
Oh yeah, because they don't use the real albums when they spray them gold. Yeah.
So a couple of our friends on the radio dial, Big D and Bubba, yesterday had a Bailey Zimmerman gold record that was damaged already. It was already damaged, so they're getting a new one. So they pulled it off the wall, and sure enough, it was somebody just noodling on guitar. It was not Bailey Zimmerman at all. So now it's a mystery of who this is noodling on guitar that is part of Bailey Zimmerman's gold record package.
And now the song stylings of Django Reinhardt.
That's right.
Is that hilarious?
Yeah.
I bet you it's different for everyone. I bet you they just go to
is.
like the 25-cent record thing and just get them and just spray paint them all. Yeah.
Maybe.
That's
but
crazy.
I thought that was so funny. So that was my Bailey tie-in for this morning. Well, Miranda Lambert has quite the story to tell. When she was growing up, her dad was a cop and her mom opened a private investigator service. She was a PI. Her mom, Bev, a PI. And apparently she wasn't above using her daughter in any of her undercover investigatory work. I mean, our friend Miranda was a cheerleader at 15 and she said, my mom told me, put on your cheerleading uniform. I'm going to take you to a house. I'm going to drop you off. You are going to pretend like you're selling cookies for the cheer squad. When they open the door, you tell them, can I use your bathroom? Go inside and look and see if they have any liquor inside. Because if they do, they are violating an order.
This is how Jelly Roll got busted the first time. right here. It was Miranda Lambert, undercover.
And I guess Miranda said to her mom, "Mom, I'm 15. I'm supposed to be at cheer practice." And her mom said, "Not today, you're not. We're going to bust somebody." So is that hysterical? I had never heard this. I just thought that was so funny. So, and speaking of Jelly Roll, she told this story to Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny, on Bunny's podcast. So if you want to hear all the stories that she has to tell, there's another one from when she was 3 years old. But if you want to hear all those stories, go check out Bunny's Dumb Blonde podcast. It's super funny.
Okay.
So some profanity, so just beware.
If they were violating an order, perhaps it was Johnny Paycheck back in the day.
Could have been.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and how crazy that her life is still law enforcement. Isn't her husband the former Times Square police officer from New York? So keep it in the family, I guess, right?
So.
Yeah.
That's probably how he hit it off so well with her dad. Okay, we're telling you about this now. Get ready. Get your credit cards out. Dolly Parton is launching a makeup line. I know, long overdue. She thinks so too. She said, I quote, "I never leave a rhinestone unturned. I wanted to be pretty my whole life, especially country girls that have a dream of glamour." She said, "I started creating my own little makeup line at home when I was just a kid. I've been known for wearing makeup, usually too much, for years." I don't think so. But look at these rhinestone encrusted lipstick cases. These are the first things we're going to get from Dolly in her makeup line. It's lipstick, 4 different shades that she has going: Jolene Red, Birthday Suit, Honey Plum, and Rosebud. And yes, I'm going to buy all 4 of them and bring them in, so don't worry about that. They're going on sale on the 22nd. I don't know exactly where you can get them yet. It's WWD is the company that's putting it out, so I think it's all going to be online. I have not heard if they're going to be in any kind of retail stores, but this is the first foray into makeup for Dolly Parton.
Well, that Jolene Red is red, isn't it?
I mean, it's Dolly. Of course it is.
I mean, I knew it would be, but
yeah, I'm probably going to be Birthday Suit. I'm going to say Birthday Suit because the plum looks pretty dark as well. So I don't know if I'll wear the plum or not.
You know, the cool stuff about her thing is that even with the perfumes, I think after people are done, they save the bottles because they're so pretty. I can see you saving all these rhinestone things as well for the collection.
100%. Yeah, I'm going to keep all of those things. I mean, I never met anything that I didn't want a rhinestone. So, you know me. I'm like, oh, blingier the better. Bring it on. I love you, Dolly. I can't wait to get my hands on this. Also want to say hello, good morning, and congratulations to Maddie and Tay because they have new music on the way to all of us. Going to be coming out September 13th. It's called What a Woman Can Do. 6 tracks. It's going to feature the duo's latest single, Heart They Didn't Break. And we have a little sample. Take a listen.
That made me feel like I ain't good enough, but someone's gotta help clean up the mess you and me. So here's to friends there to fix a heart they didn't break.
Oh, love it. Also included on this EP, you're going to get Sad Girl Summer. They released that a few months back, and Free Like, and then 3 unreleased songs. So that again is coming out on September 13th. We are waiting to hear if Tay knows if it's going to be a boy or a girl because she is expecting baby number 2. And if you're keeping track at home, they each have 1. So Maddie has a little boy and Tay has a little girl, and we'll see what baby number 3 is. Hopefully soon we'll know.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
And we honor, just a few hours ahead of the Ryman Auditorium ACM event, ACM honors the Icon Award winner this year, Tony Brown. It is so good to have you
Cody,
always.
it's so good to be in your new facility here. It's like, I feel like I'm on the Tonight Show, man.
It's like the country version of the Tonight Show because you're sitting in the living room of the house that Roy Acuff lived in.
Really? Did he really live here?
Yeah, this was the living room.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And this was a bit of fireplace here.
And you know, I've learned through the years, being cool is more important than anything.
I was going to say, there's no one more cool than you.
You're so
jewelry.
kind. You're so kind.
I love it.
And your sunglasses.
There was a day when I felt like I was cool. I don't feel that cool anymore. Such a young man's world, but I am forever young. I refuse. I told somebody, I'm not a man, I'm a guy. You know, I know people that are my age that I call them men, but I'm a guy.
Well, how did it make you feel when you got the news of the Icon Award with the viewers?
You know, it felt like the first time I had a first #1 record, because there was a period of time when I would have like 5 songs in the top 10 year round, and it's been a while since I don't produce many records anymore. So to get any award, especially something like this, it's a big deal. It makes me feel like it's a rush. That's an old 60s expression. I'm rushing, man.
Well, it's a Ryman Auditorium event tomorrow night, ACM Honors, and the Icon Award goes to you this year.
Well, and I truly am honored. I mean, I could use this in my life right now, so I'm glad it came along.
Good,
yeah.
good. And you said, just in passing off the air, you've had how many #1 records?
Over 100. And
how many of them were George Strait records?
Well, George had 60 #1s, and out of those 60, I produced 37 of those. But we were talking earlier, back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, records went up the charts so much faster. You could have 3 singles off an album a year. Now it's not that way anymore. So every time George was so hot, and when I started producing him on Pure Country, it was my first record, he was so hot, everything we put out, it was just like the first week was the most added every time. You started feeling like you were a genius as opposed to lucky. I'm a genius. But, you know, those days are not the same anymore. Everything's sort of judged by streaming, which kind of puzzles me because I don't stream. I listen to radio. I'm on the campaign to make terrestrial radio great again.
Amen.
We like that. Yeah, we'll buy that T-shirt. You got started, though, playing keys. When did you start? How old were you when you first started?
I was 13. My dad was an evangelist, and we had 2 brothers and a sister. He would preach, and we would sing. And I sang, and he played piano. And then one night I was playing in the church between services, and a lady came up to me and said, "Play that again, what you just played." I played. She said, "Play this." And she played me something, and I copied her. She says, "You have an ear. You should learn to play piano." So I learned a song. So the next night at the revival, I played that song with my family, and the crowd went wild. And my first thought was, I need to learn 2 songs. So I was pretty much bitten with the bug from that moment on. And then I, you know, from gospel music, transitioned into secular music with Elvis, because basically Elvis loved Southern gospel music. So there was a natural transition. And playing with him, it wasn't that big of a change. And I never was really into country music until after Elvis passed. And I started playing with Emmylou Harris. And I think she's one of the greatest country singers that ever lived.
That was the original hot band, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the hot band, and I joined the hot band when Ricky Skaggs became a part of it. He was 19 years old, and I was thinking, this kid's going to be somebody someday. Because when he joined the band, he just changed the whole texture of that band, you know. Up to that point, it had been basically the band was wrapped around James Burton or Albert Lee. And when Ricky Skaggs became a member of that band playing fiddle, his harmonies and his fiddle, Emmy would turn to him and go to him. He was the go-to guy. And he was incredible, just incredible. And pretty much I started picking up, I would notice when somebody was between good and great, he was great, right? I just started noticing that. And that's when I kind of should have noticed that I was an A&R guy. And this guy's good. He's going to be somebody.
All right, let's go back. Who were the Dixie Melody Boys and the Travelers Quartet?
Well, after my family, I started wanting to play with other groups besides my family. And so there was like these groups, they were like semi-professional. They played on the weekends. So I got to play with the Dixie Melody Boys, who were kind of an up-and-coming Southern gospel group. And then there was the Travelers, who were a little bit bigger than they were and cooler, so I wanted to be with them, so I joined them. Then I became a social climber, and then I set my sights on, I wanted to play with the big guys like J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, or the Oak Ridge Boys.
Blackwood Brothers,
or the Statesmen.
Yeah.
So my next gig was J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. He heard about me. Because when I was young, when I was 13, I looked 8. And when I was 19, I looked about 10. So I was little for my age. And then when I got with J.D. Sumner, He said he named me Tarzan.
I was giving, one of the questions I wanted to
Yeah,
ask
and
you
he
is
said,
how
I'm
you got
going to
that
call you
nickname.
Tarzan because you're just the opposite of Tarzan. You're little. Because JD was 6'7", and I was like 4'10". And he says, I'm going to pick on you every night, and people are going to hate me and love you. And he turned me into that person. Like in country music, when Loretta Lynn had Harold Morrison and String Bean and all those kind of guys, I became the
fall guy.
the fall guy,
Yeah.
and people would love it, and that got me into being an entertainer. And then after Elvis and Emmylou, and then playing with Rodney and Roseanne Cash, I finally figured I should get a real job. And I thought, what can I do that's still creative but not playing? And so I got an A&R job at RCA. Jerry Bradley hired me. And while I was there, I signed Alabama. Had no idea they would be the biggest band ever. And then Jimmy Bowen in 1984 hired me away from RCA to come to MCA. He said, "I'm going to train you to be a producer," which he did, thank God. And so my life just slowly is like sliding doors. I got a book out, and it's about all the people in my life. When I met them, things changed, So Jimmy Bowen hired me from RCA, and he told me, he said, "I heard the song you did with Nora Wilson on Steve Wonder. I think you could be a great producer. Come over here and I'll teach you how to be a producer."
And what song was that? The Steve Wonder
Midnight
song?
Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, #1 record. And all of a sudden I'm a producer. And then Nora Wilson gave me a picture of me and him together, and he signed it. Says, if without me, you wouldn't be SHIT.
That's the Nora I loved.
Yeah, that's the Nora, And then Bowen let me sign. He said, "You sign new acts, and I'll produce the stars." So Bowen was producing Lee Greenwood, the Oak Ridge Boys, Reba, George. And I signed Patty Loveless. I signed Steve Earle, Lyle Lovett, Trisha Yearwood. So he let me produce the new acts.
Reba?
No, I got Reba after Bowen left to go to Capitol.
Okay.
I inherited Reba, and the first album I did with her, she wanted to do Fancy. How lucky was I? She said, "You like Fancy?" I said, "I love Fancy." She said, "Bowen won't let me cut that." I said, "I'll cut it on you." And it's the biggest record I ever cut on Reba. It was only a top 10 record. Wow. And then my first record on George was Pure Country. Bowen left, and I inherited that record. That's his biggest record he ever had. It's 6 million albums.
Wow.
So, my life is just like a serendipity moments that happened in my life.
Well, we're going to continue to follow up on this life
Yeah.
of
So
Tony
anyway,
Brown.
I can't complain. So I'm actually happy to get this Icon Award because some guy stopped me coming out of the Palm the other night and said, "You're George Strait's producer." And I said, "I am." I said, "I was for 20 years." He says, "Nice to meet you, Byron Gallimore."
Oh!
I said, "So great to be famous."
ACM Icon Award winner Tony Brown is on Coffee, Country, and Cody. And this is Lionel Richie and Blake Shelton together from Tuskegee.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
Grammy Award winner, CMA Award winner, of course, Academy of Country Music Award. All these are multiples, by the way. Producer of the Year, multiples for Tony Brown. And we recognize him this morning on Coffee, Country, and Cody as he heads to the Ryman to get his Icon Award from the Academy of Country Music and their honors program.
Yeah, I am so thrilled to get this award. I mean, it makes me feel so relevant, which is important to me, to feel relevant, And there's such great music happening right now. If I could look at one person and go, they kill me, it would be Lainey Wilson.
Oh, amen.
Everything about her, I can see nothing she's done wrong. Everything is right. And I go, God, she's so good.
It's so fun to watch.
I came across, I wanted to get your follow-up on this. This article is an old Billboard article. It says, on August 16th, 1977, Tony was at the Nashville International Airport with several other Presley band members waiting for a plane that would take them to Portland, Maine. Instead, Colonel Tom Parker sent word that the tour was off and they should go home. Your quote, "My first thought was, now what am I going to do, man? I already spent the money I was going to make on this tour." End quote.
I had actually. I lived a paycheck ahead, and that's the most money I've ever made. And so that's awful that I thought that as opposed to thinking. But they didn't tell us when the tour was off.
Oh, so you didn't know he had passed?
Didn't know. So on the way home in my car on the interstate, I hear on the radio that Elvis has been found dead in his bathroom. And it kind of upset me with the colonel. They didn't tell us. They said, we'll call you. And then I thought, what am I going to do now? Because after Elvis, you don't go play for just anybody, right? Mm-hmm. You got that little status thing you got going. You got to keep it going. But who do you play with after Elvis? So after Elvis, I did play with Emmylou Harris. So I just segued into that. And the funny thing about it is, the reason I got my job with Elvis was Glenn D. Harden had been with Elvis for 20 years, and he quit Elvis to go play with Emmylou. So after Elvis passed away, I'm sitting in Nashville going, now what am I going to do? I get a phone call and said, do you want to come out and try out for Emmylou Harris? Glenn D. Harden just left to go play with John Denver. So musicians would be like, get a better gig, so you take the next gig. So I got with Emmylou, and that's changed my life. That's where I met Rodney Crowell and Vince Gill and all those people. And so I got a book out called Elvis Straight to Jesus, and it's about intersections in your life when things change, and you meet people, and within that group of people, you meet other people that just change your life. So I got to play with Emmylou, and that was a thrill of my life, actually. After Elvis, Elvis was more about celebrity to me. And to be worthy of playing in that band was a big deal for me, to play with Ronnie Tutt and James Burton. But with Emmylou,